Hello, everybody. Suzanne Kellner-Zinck of Dawning Visions Hypnosis to talk about a really important topic, especially today, with the overwhelming amount of information that is available to us to confuse us and, in some cases, scare us, which is why it's so important to learn how to control what goes into your mind in the first place. Today, we have so many sources of information, and I'm here to tell you that there are so many ways for scientists and politicians to play around with numbers, use computer models to pretend that what they're saying is true, when in fact there's no truth to much of what's being stated on this basis. The computer model is not reality, folks. Reality is when actual science is done with reportable numbers that have been backed up, and where, when you read the articles that explain the research, actually makes sense. And I'm here to tell you that, unfortunately, in the area of health and well-being, there's a lot of screwing around with those numbers, and I would say misstatements of the facts shown as facts, even in the articles themselves. It's something that, when you do a master's degree, you learn how to assess these things, because, well, you can't choose great research articles to back up what you're saying in your papers if you don't understand the basics of what is, shall we say, a viable study and one that is not. And then we get into this whole situation of all the AI, and it being really hard to tell if the people that are being shown are actually real people or created by AI today, which, I don't know about you, but I find really scary. I want to know what's real and what's fake. And it's really hard to figure this stuff out as AI gets better and better. I know that one of the issues that came up in my instructional design and technology course was how teachers were to figure out, when kids handed in papers, what was written by them and what was written by AI. And some of the suggestions given was, well, have them write the paper in AI and then rewrite it on their own with their own point of view, in their own voice, which is making it harder for students to learn how to critically think. I mean, this all started with the smartphones, right? When you didn't have to remember anybody's phone numbers. You just go in there, it's all memorized for you. And now you can do pretty much anything on your computers and smartphones without having to think about much of anything. You have GPSs. We used to use maps. If you didn't know how to read a map, you couldn't get to where you needed to go. Many, many years ago, I worked for an elder care, home care company. And the gentleman who hired people gave the prospective employees would not give them the directions on how to get to the office, only the address. And I asked him one day why he did that, and he said, because if they can't read a map, then they can't do this job, because they have to be able to find their way to our clients' houses. Point made. Now we have GPS to do all that for us. I have to say that one of the things that I'm really, really happy that I learned how to do was this thing called hypnotism. Because when you learn how the subconscious mind learns information, you understand why it is that people with ulterior, not so great ethics say the same things over and over and over again. It's how we learn the multiplication tables. It's how we learn the scientific chart. It's how we learn most things when we're very, very young. If it's stated long enough, often enough, our subconscious mind will decide it's true. And I'm here to tell you that if you know how to critically think, you're capable of seeing and understanding what's going on and not allowing that garbage to be known as fact in your own brain, to do your research, to figure things out on your own so that you can make the best choices for you and your family. And I'm telling you that it is a skill that you need, and it's a skill that your kids need to learn how to do as things get more and more confusing. You don't want people who have nefarious ideas of how they're going to take over the world to take over your life, because what they say sounds really good until you look deeper into what they're talking about and how sick these ideas truly are. And I'm not going to name names here. Some of you people already hopefully know and recognize for who they are. But what I will say is that just because someone is in a powerful position, they own a company or they're in a governmental position, doesn't mean that they're telling you the truth. And you can look at it from both sides, all sides. You have to do your own research. You have to base your research on the people who are the professionals in the areas of that which is being stated. So if they're talking about economics, go to the economist. Economists who have proved to know what the hell they're talking about through time. If they're talking about viruses, go to the virologist. The people who have been given Nobel Prizes for the research they do, for example. If you're talking about sociological issues, go to the sociologist. You understand what I'm saying here? And I wouldn't say that I would even trust Google at this time to give you the best articles. I have a really hard time even on Google Scholar to find things that are relative to the research I need to do for my doctoral program. It started happening when I was doing my first master's. I like Perplexity AI. You can get really great information and you can go through and find the facts from the people who are actually experts in their areas. And those are the people you need to listen to, not talking heads on TV, experts. Not mass media, independent reporters who will show you the documents that back up what they're telling you. Because if no one has documents to back up what they're telling you, how do you know it's real? You don't. And that's a problem. It is truly dividing the United States and a lot of the Western countries in terms of the policies that they're taking on, because no one knows what's true and what knows what's fake. And many people are just making decisions based on their emotions. And I'm going to tell you right here, right now, your emotions are there to tell you something is wrong. It's an indicator that you need to check something out. But it's not a reason to make a decision. You need to find the facts as best you can before you make a decision of any kind, especially in regards to anything that you're going to put into your body. Food, medicine, for example. And I'm here to tell you that this is like super important today, because you have a lot of people who want to make a lot of money off of you because you don't know any different. You believe them blindly. But I'm telling you, stop doing that. Just stop. Do your own research. And if what you're finding doesn't make sense, do deeper research. Because the only person who can control what's going on in your life and how your life turns out is you. Ultimately, it's your responsibility. And if you have children, it's your responsibility to have the correct information for your children and to not to do it based on blind faith. It's really easy to be brainwashed by people. So what happens when you hear the same thing being stated over and over and over and over again? That's how cults operate, people. So please get a hold of it. Get educated, chase down your resources, and make sure that they are actually telling you the facts. And if you don't feel like you have the facts, don't make a decision. Do nothing. Because that's better than being railroaded into something that could definitely harm you in the end. As always, I thank you for spending your time with me. Till next time. Bye-bye.